All right, what's going on, everybody? Steve here. This time I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. That's right, the Music City, USA. And I'm at the Two Rivers Skatepark, which is behind me, doing a skate park tour of this particular park. This one is over 20 years old. This was built back in 2004 by Wally Holiday Skateparks. It definitely has more of like a late 90s, early 2000s feel to it. Lots of A-frame shaped stuff, kind of a bunch of up and down, like pumping through things. A lot of transition as well that's kind of on the steeper side. So if you're looking for like more of the modern style parks that you see like Spawn Ranch, California, Hunger, even Evergreen build, you're not going to find it here. This is definitely older, and you will see that the skating surface is also kind of rough in a lot of spots as well. So this park is definitely showing its age, and hopefully Nashville's planning a newer park or some upgrades to this one. But needless to say, if you're in the Nashville area, this is like one of the few skate parks around that's public and outdoor. So if you're in the area, maybe you want to come by and check this out if you're not out street skating. So let's go see this one for yourself. It is late afternoon, super sunny, not a cloud in the sky actually, well, a few. So I apologize for the shadows in advance, but hopefully you'll get an idea of what is at this particular skate park. Right now I'm in the low impact area. As you can see in front of me, there's a fair amount of space up top before you either go into the transition area or into like more of your competition course street style area. And up here at the top, there's just a ledge and a couple flat bars. Otherwise, you got plenty of room to like play games of skate or do whatever else you might be interested in. So you can see right in front of me, parking block. And then as we get over to the boxes, one is about a foot off the ground. The other one's closer to 2.5 feet, I would say. These things are only about 8 feet long, so not a lot of time on them, but you do have plenty of time to set up for it. So that is on the good side, but I will say the ground and top of these ledges are definitely showing their age. Like you can see towards the top of the lower section, it's really kind of chunked out, and that's just, you know, what happens for older parks is they definitely start showing their age. Next, we've got a square flat bar. This thing is about 16 inches off the ground, about 10 feet long. So it is on the taller side and only about 2 inches wide on the top of it. So not a lot to actually balance on, but if you feel like popping up and skating a flat bar, you got a good amount of setup either way you're coming from. And then over here along the left side, you also have a round C rail. This rail is about 18 inches tall, so it's a little bit taller than the square rail that I just showed you. But this thing is longer. This is closer to 12 feet long and curves at, I would say, not quite a 45-degree angle, maybe more like a 30. But, you know, obviously it's going to be tricky to skate due to the height. Kind of wish that this type of thing would have been built lower, but it is what it is. Next up, we've got the bowl or main pool. This does have pool coping throughout it and doesn't really look like it's been skated much recently. I will say that it kind of varies in terms of depths. You know, in front of me, we've got more of like the mellower section. It's about 5 feet tall right in front of me, but immediately starts sloping down into like 6 foot and 8 foot sections. Over to the right here, this is more like a 6 foot depth, close to 7 feet. It definitely has some vert to it. In fact, a lot of these pool sections actually have some oververt on them. So you can kind of see where it starts curving back outwards. And that's not simply due to just the kind of the corner there. It is set up with some oververt to it. So it's not necessarily something that you'd probably like, you know, stand-up grind on, although experienced pool skaters might be able to. More or less something that you would just scratch if you're not used to pool skating. And then over on the left side, that's the deeper section. This thing is closer to like 9 feet tall. The walls there are about, I would say about 2.5, 3 feet vert, and there are definitely some sections where it might feel like it's a bit over vert as well. But needless to say, the bowl itself, I think, is in relatively good shape. Like, there are some points where maybe like the surface is calcified a little bit from water or whatever else, but for the most part, there's not like big chunks of concrete missing, and I would say the pool coping is in really good shape as well. I don't see any problems with it. I think this is the type of thing that there's a select few that actually want to skate something like this, and so it doesn't really get skated much, but it's here if you really like pool skating. All right, now you have the bowl with more metal coping and lots of hips, and even a spine. So what you see in front of me is the 8 or 9 foot oververt clamshell area. You can see towards the top, it's, you got metal coping throughout it, and then you've got several hips and transition into like 5-6 foot mix. So where I'm standing right now is roughly a 6 foot transition, and then there's some lower sections, like you see that spine over there that is more like 5 feet, and then towards the back sections you've got more like 5 foot transitions as well. So overall there's lots of lines in this, and the surface is still relatively smooth. Probably could use a leaf blower down there, but for the most part, the chunks that might have been missing at one point in time have been patched, so you don't really have to worry about like hitting something that would throw you off right into the side of the bowl. So that's a good thing, but it is older, so maybe some of the things that you'd want to see in a bowl setup now don't really exist for this one, but there's still plenty of lines and plenty of ways to kind of roll in, skate different things, get grinds, get slides, whatever the case may be. So I just want to show you the other side of the bowl from where I was standing. As you can see, like, there's more like the 5 foot section, nice and wide as well, and you got a spine that you can skate, but also some hips to hit as well. And then you've got this like roller section that almost skates a bit like a pump track, so you get a few different ramps to roll over, and then you can transition into the competition like street area. Another kind of randomly placed obstacle is this square flat bar that's about 18 inches tall. It actually slopes down a little bit, so towards the end it's more like 16 or 17 inches off the ground, and this taller part maybe is closer to 19. So it does take quite a bit of pop to get onto. The good news with this particular flat bar is it's more like a 2x4 on top. So about 3.5, 4 inches wide on top. So a lot more room to kind of lock in and grind it down if you want. And rather than having to push up to it, you can hit a ramp from either side to get your speed and skate it that way. So gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to get some speed without having to push up to it. All right, so now I'm going to start more on the east end of the competition area. There's like a little bit of like a flow bowl type thing with just roll-ins and kind of hips to it. So it's not really like something that's designed to do stalls or grind. There is a grindable section towards the back that's about 4 feet tall or so, but needless to say, these hip sections are about 3 feet off the ground, and I'll show you just kind of on top that the problem with a lot of the stuff in this area is that you've got this like pebble concrete on top instead of just regular cement. So this really messes with you, and I can't for the life of me figure out why somebody decided that was a good idea to put on the park, but you're dealing with that, and unfortunately it'll slow you down a lot. So this is just one where, again, I think poor planning and construction. So typically I don't like to be too critical in these skate park tours and want you to have that opportunity, but I just want to point out that there are some times where you come across something that doesn't make sense at all. And in this case, you've got this pebble material on top of some of the ramps that really just don't make any sense. So now we've got about a 4-foot A-frame ramp that you can obviously do pops over, and then you've got a hubble ledge on the side. The hubble ledge is about 16 feet long, and it'll be easy to get onto because you can pop off the bank, and there's plenty of room on top. It's about 1.5 feet wide on top, but it will speed you up pretty quickly, and you'll go right into the ground. So you just got to be ready for that if you're skating it like a hubba, but still could be a pretty fun obstacle. And then you've got another hubba along with a 2-stair Euro gap and some other banks, and then a bump to ledge. So starting with the hubble ledge, this thing is about 14 inches off the ground, relatively easy to get onto. All you have to do is just kind of pop out a little bit, and you're right on there level with it. So super mellow in that regard, but it is longer, so it's about 10 feet long or so. And then you towards the bottom there, it's about, I would say, close to 2 feet off the ground, so it's a little bit less steep than the one that I just covered. But needless to say, you do have to be ready to lock in. And then on the other side, I'm going to show you, you got the Euro gap, and then bump to ledges on both sides. Depending on how you want to hit those bump to ledges, they're either going to be really tall, about close to 2 feet off the ground, or kind of mellow. So this one in front of me is about 16 inches tall or so. So that one does give you some options. And then you could even skate this like it's a wall ride, do stalls on it, or kind of wally onto this like manual pad setup. Next, you got like this clamshell quarter type thing. Just one piece of coping, one pole through it, and obviously metal, about 4 feet tall or so on the lower side, and then on the upper side here, this is about 2 feet tall or so. So kind of interesting one if you want to skate something like it's a fly out, spine, whatever. You've got that option. And then you get into kind of the other half of the comp area. First is a really long down rail. This thing isn't too tall to get onto. Probably at its lowest point, it's about 12 inches off the ground. Nice and long, so you just have to be ready to balance. I think the thing that's probably the hardest part about it is it's kind of narrow on top. So you don't have a lot to lock in with, but it is kind of mellow, and you don't have to worry about like sacking on it, because at probably the tallest point, it's maybe kind of knee height or lower thigh, so not that bad at all. And then as we get into like the last section in front of me, we're going to see this pyramid. So on the south end of the pyramid, you've got it set up like a Euro gap on one side, and then more of like a wedge ramp on the other. So you do have like a lower, mellower Euro gap if you're coming off of the side over here, and then otherwise you can skate it up or down. And then you've got an out ledge. I think the out ledge might be a little bit trickier to skate, definitely taller, and then the drop towards the end is maybe 3.5, 4 feet tall. But on the other side of this, you've got a really nice pyramid, super mellow. It's only about 3 feet tall. Too long to transfer end to end unless you're really hauling it, but you can do all kinds of tricks and transition to really any direction that you want coming off of this. right, so that does it for the Two Rivers Skatepark tour here in Nashville, Tennessee. If you liked what you saw, definitely look up this park and come out for a session. Obviously got lights and plenty of different things to skate here. But if you're looking for a smoother ride, maybe you'll want to go somewhere else. Otherwise, if you have any comments or questions about the park, just drop them in the comments section. You know what to do, and I will see you in the next skate park tour video. Thanks for watching.